Joining me is the political panel, Cameron Milner, former Chief of Staff to Labor leader Bill Shorten, now Director of GXO Strategies. They're into crisis management, I think Australia should be calling him. And Michael Costa, former New South Wales Labor Treasurer. Michael, how serious is this?
Oh, it's extremely serious. But look, there's Baghdad Bob Chalmers at it again, selling his Potemkin prosperity, mate. I mean, it's just a joke that this guy can get up there at a time when you've got real wages declining, inflation still, high by anybody's standard, and, productivity collapsing, and trying to spin this as if we're in prosperity and things are progressing. I mean, we have got a real problem with this bloke. He just doesn't understand the fundamentals, and he's got an ability to try and spin things and a thick hide where he doesn't take, criticism doesn't hurt him, obviously, and he keeps going on with this stuff. The bottom line is we're in real trouble, and the productivity figure is the key figure. Real wages going down is not a success. I mean, somebody ought to tell this bloke he's presiding over a mess.
It's so strange, Cameron. I mean, this is one of the most fundamental roles of government, apart from defending the country, is to make sure people are better off. They're looked after. We're getting poorer, and I see very little discussion about it. It's so weird.
Isn't it, Andrew? I mean, it's terrible. I mean, we've talked about in your program before the fact that there's a per capita recession in Australia. So Australians have been going backwards anyway. Now we've seen their house values going down as well in the last 3 months, and now real wages as well, to your point, Michael. I mean, these are fundamental things that government should be doing and setting the goals for. And it comes back to productivity. It comes back to the fact that we've got a tax and spend government rather than a government focused on productivity. And that's the real problem in Canberra right now.
Well, I don't know. Michael, what do we need to do to get out of this?
Oh, probably change the government, but that's not likely to happen in the short term. And that's the other problem we've got here. We've got, a B-grade Prime Minister who is A-grade in terms of meaningless slogan peddling, and a bunch of B-graders as ministers. And then to top it off, we've got a D-grade opposition. We're in a mess. The political system is broken at the moment, and that's fundamentally the problem. You can't get out of this mess unless you have leadership, and there's no leadership anywhere. Having said that, I've got to give credit today to Angus Taylor. I mean, he acted as a statesman by supporting the NDIS changes, to try and get some of that spending under control. So that's a plus for him. But, there's still a D-grade opposition.
I'll tell you about D-grade or maybe F-grade, the way he's going. Veterans Affairs Minister Matt Keogh. Look, Cameron, this guy's having an absolute shocker. I mean, yesterday he first refused to meet veterans wanting to talk to him about new government restrictions on their health care. I mean, what kind of stupid saving was that? And then offended him by being rude when he finally agreed to talk to them. The government went for him today again and again. I'll play you a couple of grabs about this because it was just so humiliating. Have a look.
Former Air Force fighter jet pilot Dr. Tim Nelson spoke about the minister's behaviour in a meeting, and I quote, "He walked into the room, refused to shake our hand, sat down with his arms crossed and rolled his eyes." Yesterday, the minister told the House, and I quote, "I don't agree with the characterisation that you've just outlined." Is the minister calling this veteran a liar?
I meet with many veterans, veteran family members, defence personnel on a regular basis, and I respect every position that they put to me in what they say and describe, but I also am not in the habit of repeating the content and detail of all of those conversations and meetings in the Parliament every day. And I provided the answer that I provided yesterday.
Why won't the Prime Minister sack this incompetent and disrespectful minister?
I have every confidence in the Minister for Veterans Affairs.
Cameron, Albanese hasn't fired a minister in 4 years. Should he start now?
Well, I don't think he's about to start now. I mean, Albo is the Stonewall champion in terms of standing up for a whole range of mistakes his government makes, not least his own. I think that the core here is this terrible thing, Andrew, that it means testing veterans for allied healthcare. I mean, for goodness sake, that's not the place to find savings. I mean, there's so much waste in this Labor government, so much expenditure. Now, millionaires get assistance on housing like this under Albanese with no means testing. And yet we're going to do over veterans for a $5,000 cap. The real problem here isn't about a meeting or otherwise. It's about that veterans shouldn't have their allied health care capped by this government at all. If they've served our nation, then we need to serve them well by giving them free allied health care.
Michael, by not sacking any minister in 4 years, including ones that bungled immigration stuff, you remember all that, the economy, the way it's going, the fact the housing targets are not met, all that kind of stuff. No one's sacked. Albanese has sacked himself for being a sexist prat in office. But should he start now? I mean, is it showing that this government doesn't have standards?
Okay, legends, see this. A government promises to look after the people who fought for this country, then slaps a cap on their healthcare and calls it reform. Sounds like satire, right? Except it is happening right now in real time under the Albanese government. Stick around because this one gets messier the deeper we go. Quick favour before we go further, if you are loving this breakdown, let me see you hit that subscribe button right now. Over 90% of viewers have not yet. It is free, takes a second, and means the world to us. Thanks if you did. Now let's continue.
Well, I think that's true, but he's not, as Cameron said, he's not going to sack anybody. And remember why we're in this position, Andrew. They're chasing $5,000 of veterans that need that support because their budget's out of control and they won't find real savings with all of those departments, particularly the climate change one, that are full of public servants on massive salaries. So they've got to change the veterans. This is extremely serious. We've already got a defence department that's under pressure. Lacks morale. Its equipment is second rate. You've got a dope as the defence industry minister. You saw his views on Menzies and everything else. But I mean, he's an ex-Albo staffer and left-wing union official with the metalworkers union. He's got no clue. The only guy that's got half a clue is Richard Miles, but his strategy is to basically reposition our strategic position every time we fail in our defence procurement or our defence strategy. So we've got a real mess in this area. And if Albo's not prepared to do anything there, he's not going to be prepared to do anything anywhere. Yes,
we've got so few drone defences that drones regularly buzz RWF bases, and the message to the servicemen inside is just draw the blinds. I mean, it's just this. What on earth is this country? Labor prides itself, Cameron, on its superior spin, and let's declare, that you are a former spin merchant yourself. That's one of Labor's skills. Brilliant.
Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged.
But recently, I got to say, Cameron, since you left, it too often has sounded to me like lies. For instance, Treasurer Chalmers has sent voters a text. It's Jim Chalmers here. Andrew Bragg, the opposition's housing spokesman is referring to, wants to scrap your super and Pauline Hanson's backing him, which had Hanson shooting back. It's Pauline Hanson here. Jim Chalmers is full of shit. One Nation doesn't support scrapping super. We just think people should be able to use their super when in financial distress instead of losing their home. Now, Hanson shouldn't have used that language. Cameron, you know me, butter wouldn't melt in my mouth, but doing so, I think, means she's probably walked away with a win here against Chalmers that she wouldn't have if she just called him a liar.
Well, and I think One Nation's on a winner on the superannuation stuff as it happens as well. I mean, I think people don't feel any emotional connection to the superannuation, and they're living through a huge cost of living crisis. Young people can't find a home, but they get their super locked away for 45, 50 years. I mean, so no, I think One Nation are onto a winner here in terms of that side of things. And the problem for superannuation is if it's a Jim Chalmers text message, which is your own defence, then you're in real trouble.
And what do you think, Michael? Do you think that superannuation debate, the Labor's really gunning for it, is actually a winner for them?
Oh, look, I mean, I doubt that Jim Chalmers even knew that text message went out. I reckon that's gone from head office. But it shows you what these clowns think are the sort of hot-button issues. Look, the bottom line with super is remember who started this, and it was Labor by claiming that super wasn't a personal asset, it was a national asset. Now, I'd be horrified if I was in an industry fund. They're already mismanaged, as we know, because of the governance structure. And these people now think that it's their money, not your money. So I think One Nation's got real legs on this one. And remember, we've had some failures in this industry just recently where people have lost enormous amounts of money. So, I think she's on a winner with this.
Well, speaking of liar, Pauline Hanson seems to have got in the head of Workplace Minister Amanda Rishworth today with a Fire the Liar campaign against the Prime Minister, because listen to Rishworth.
Of course, this government closed the Labor liar loophole, which meant that there's many people doing the same job. Okay, I'll do it again.
Order.
The Labor hire loophole. The Labor hire loophole with our same job. You know where I'm going.
There's no coming back from that, Cameron, is there? Unless Rishworth really was announcing Albanese had been sacked and the Labor liar loophole had been closed. Have you heard worse verbal slips in your time?
Oh, look, there have been many verbal slips in Parliament, but this is a pretty bad one. I mean, I like Amanda a lot, but clearly Pauline's living rent-free in her head.
Let us start with the veterans, because this is where the government's priorities get exposed like a dodgy renovation job. Under changes tied to the federal budget, veterans are now facing a $5,000 annual limit on allied health services, a policy the government insists will stop overcharging and save more than $700 million. But here's the twist. Veterans groups say the median annual spend sits well under $2,000. So who exactly is this cap protecting? It's like installing a speed limiter on a car that already drives under the limit, just to say you did something about speeding. And then things got personal. When veteran advocates tried to meet with Veterans Affairs Minister Matt Keogh, his office initially knocked them back. He eventually met the group, but not before ex-servicemen accused him of refusing to shake hands and barely looking their way during the sit-down. To his credit, Keogh later admitted he got it wrong in delaying the meeting. Fair play for owning it, but admitting a mistake after the headlines roll in is a bit like apologising for parking in a disabled spot only once someone has photographed the ticket. Now, hold on to your hats, because this is where the wheels start wobbling harder. Zoom out from Veterans Affairs and you start noticing a pattern across the government, a kind of institutional shrug whenever accountability comes knocking. Ministers stumble through announcements, policies get walked back under pressure, and communication slip-ups become almost routine, like that widely mocked moment where Labor hire loophole came out sounding a lot closer to liar loophole. One slip of the tongue is forgivable, sure, but when spin becomes the default setting, voters start asking whether anyone is actually steering the ship, or if it's just drifting on autopilot. Here's the bigger picture, and it's worth sitting with. None of these are isolated bloopers. A funding cap that seems to target people who barely use the service, a minister criticised for how he handled the fallout, and a broader culture where explaining things clearly seems harder than it should be. That's not one bad week, that's a pattern, and patterns in government usually point to something structural, not accidental, whether that's overstretched departments, risk-averse messaging, or simply too many decisions being made to manage headlines rather than outcomes. So where does that leave us? With a government that talks up prosperity while veterans are fighting for basic healthcare access and ministers apologising after the damage is already public. Real reform doesn't look like walking things back once people notice. It looks like getting it right before anyone has to protest for it. Until that shift happens, expect more of these stories, not fewer. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. And please don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below.